This is kind of like a prayer going out to all the peeps close to me and dear to me, the ones that's been there for my whole life, the ones that came later in my life. Yeah. I appreciate all the blessings God has given me, and I want to repay it to you like this. Clap your
Thank
hands.
you.
Everybody clap your hands. Introducing. This is the joint where...
All right, my friends, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, it is great to be in Atlanta. Hello, Georgia. In 93 days, we're going to take back our country and elect Donald J. Trump once again. It's going to start right here in Georgia. Now, let's recap the last month.
All right, I'm just going to do a little fact checking on J.D. Vance and Trump's speech. So here we go.
In political history, we have to remember, just over a month ago, President Trump wiped the floor with Joe Biden on that debate stage, exposing a massive cover-up of the president's mental incapacity. He saved America from 4 more years of the disaster of Joe Biden. And during that same time, Donald Trump accepted our own party's nomination with overwhelming support. We held the most successful convention in history. He took a bullet for this country and didn't miss a single day of work. Now, he did that in 1 month. Just imagine what he's going to do with 4 more years. Ain't that right?
Wait a second. Where was he at work? What does he do at work? What is his job?
Now, after covering up Joe Biden's incompetence for the last 3.5 years, our friends in the media are at it again. This time, they're gaslighting us on Kamala Harris's radical record.
Oh my goodness. Did he just use the word gaslight? I mean, is he not gaslighting himself? How many ridiculous things have, I mean, come on. You know, he's talking about gaslighting. He's talking about gaslighting. This is very, very interesting, but let me let it play. I'm sorry. Here we go.
They want to portray her as some kind of sensible moderate, despite all evidence to the contrary. Now, this is the same media that told us, remember, my friends, for 3.5 years that Joe Biden, who couldn't complete a sentence,
What's up, Donnie?
was Albert Einstein. And now they want to tell us that Kamala Harris is Abraham Lincoln.
No, nobody wants to tell you that. Nobody's claiming that. Nobody has to be. But the thing about it is that a lot of people seem to like Joe Biden's efforts for the last 4 years and Kamala Harris's efforts for the last 4 years. It's a lot of people that like it. And it's nothing wrong with admitting that you won't get half of the vote that is projected already. So, I mean, why don't you just admit that there's a substantial number of Americans that actually appreciate them and others outside of the U.S. That's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to run against someone you don't agree with and still recognize some of their strong points, at least 1 or 2, right?
But anybody who is too blind to see Biden's incompetence, or let's be honest, too dishonest to admit it, doesn't deserve to be commander-in-chief. Kamala Harris is not getting a promotion to the presidency of the United States. Now, the Democrat Party bosses would like to install her as their new nominee and as the next president, but remember, she has not received a single vote for president. Let's actually give Democrat primary voters some credit because in their primary in 2020, Kamala Harris was so unpopular, she didn't even make it to the first vote being cast. She wasn't in the top 3 in her home state of California. And the reason is Democrat voters know what every American agrees with: America is never going to elect a San Francisco liberal who's so far outside the mainstream. We're not going to elect Kamala Harris as president.
But one thing that people are curious about, and that is, will the United States ever elect a woman? Will they ever elect a woman? What do you think, J.D. Vance? Do you think the United States will ever elect a woman to be the president? You know, that's so odd. I'm betting that they don't believe so because there's J.D. Vance, who's technically a man, right? And Donald Trump, who's technically, or I should say male, right? Who's technically a male, right? They're not banking on a woman winning anything.
Now let us count the ways of the disastrous policies of Kamala Harris. 500,000 kids. I was at the border just a couple of days ago. 500,000 kids have been trafficked by the drug cartels because of her policies. She was the border czar. The media lies to you, but she was. Hardworking Americans cannot afford groceries because of her policies. Gas and energy are through the roof because of her policies. Housing prices are out of control because of her policies. You cannot let in 20 million illegal aliens to compete with Americans for.
Look, this is already ridiculous. How do you get energy prices down when your game plan is against diverse energy? Their game plan is literally no electric energy for cars, for transportation. Imagine this. How do you think all that gas gets shipped around the country to gas stations? How much gas do you think they use just to deliver gas itself? I mean, are you really saying not investing in windmill technology, not investing in electric cars and trucks and 18-wheelers and all this thing that other countries are investing in NATO nations and industrial nations? How do they expect prices for energy to go down when you're not planning on doing any diverse energy in the biggest or in the biggest economic power in the world? You know, how's that possible?
Scarce housing and then raise interest rates, which is exactly what Kamala Harris has done. And people right here in Georgia and all across the country have suffered because of it. Now, the media calls her a moderate, but there's nothing the fake news loves more than a fact check. So let's do a fact check. Kamala Harris was the most liberal United States senator during her entire time in public service. As America's border czar.
Is that what they're saying? Is that what black men are saying? If you look at the internet, you see Trump folks who are black saying that she wasn't moderate, that she was harsh on crime, unjust on crime. That's what they're saying. And he's calling her a liberal.
Kamala Harris unleashed the worst border crisis in American history. 10 million illegal aliens have invaded this country. The total, that's what they say, that's the official number. It's probably more than that. Biden and Harris, on day one, they suspended deportations. They stopped building the border wall. I saw it just a couple days ago. It's sitting there on the ground, ready to be finished, but Kamala Harris won't let them. They reinstated catch and release. Then they proposed amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. Kamala Harris turned Border Patrol into a travel agency for the worst criminals and terrorists all over the world. Now, we have a different message, President Trump and I do. If you're in this country illegally, start packing your bags. You go home in 6 months.
And what jobs are those people taking? Just curious. Whose job are they taking? Is that going to improve the economy? Whose jobs are they taking? Remember, they used the phrase black jobs. That's the phrase Trump used himself. Black jobs, right? So what are the jobs for the illegal immigrants that he's thinking are taking away funding from the average American?
But we're not done yet. The border isn't the only thing Kamala Harris has wrecked during her time in office. In 2021, she was the tie-breaking vote on $2 trillion of reckless spending that juiced this inflation crisis and sent a lot of money to China. Well, I don't think we should send money to China. I think we ought to keep it right here at home. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act, which was really the Inflation is a Disaster Act. She cast the deciding vote, triggered the worst affordability crisis in generations. And at the same time, she said that high gas prices were, quote, the price to pay for democracy. A woman who's never earned a vote for President of the United States. That's the price for democracy. Well, it's not the price for democracy, my friends. It's the price we paid for her failed leadership. Now, Harris wants to ban fracking, ban offshore drilling, take away your gas cars. And by the way, I think in America, you ought to be able to drive whatever the hell you want to, because this is America, and we believe in freedom.
Now, is there anybody out there that really believes Kamala Harris or Biden wants to take away people's option to drive gasoline vehicles? Is there anybody that believes that? Where's that bill? Where did that bill get passed? Where did they state that? Where's that listed in their platform? Again, does diversity in energy raise the prices up on energy, or does it bring the prices down on energy? Does diverse energy options, does it bring the price of gas up or gas down? Has the Biden administration brought the price of gas down while making loads of money on the sale of gasoline to other nations? I mean, aren't they in a war with OPEC right now? Isn't that what's going on right now? I don't think this dude reads the newspapers.
She wants to take away your gas stoves. She even wants to take away your ability to eat red meat. That's how out there she is. That's real. The fake news will fact check it. They'll fact check it true. She actually said that. In other words, she thinks that she's better than us. She thinks she's better than you. She thinks she's smarter than you. She thinks you need to be told how to live your life. But this November, let's tell the Washington elites, let's tell Kamala Harris, mind your own damn business. We're electing Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Now, every time the Democrats attack us and attack our movement, they can't help but tell on themselves. They reveal how much they hate the American people. Now, remember this. Remember, Barack Obama said we cling to God and guns. Remember that? Hillary Clinton called us deplorables. And now, Kamala Harris says we're weird. Well, Kamala, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about some things that are weird. We think it's weird that Democrats want to put sexually explicit books in toddlers' libraries. We think it's weird that the far
Where is he getting this from? Democrats want to put sexually explicit books in toddlers' libraries. Oh, really? Okay.
far left wants to allow biological males to beat the living crap out of women in boxing.
Is that? I'm trying to understand where that's going on at. Let me just check that right now. Is that a state? I mean, you tell me. Is that a state thing? Is that something governors are deciding and local politicians, or is that something the federal government is mandating? I'm curious about that because if it's not the federal government, then it's not Biden and it's not Harris.
We think it's weird for a presidential candidate to bail convicted rapists and murderers out of prison, and that's what Kamala Harris did. And I think it's especially weird when Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta, I believe came here to this arena. Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta and talks with a fake Southern accent, even though she grew up in Canada. You can't make it up. That's pretty weird.
Now, he just said she wanted to bail out rapists. Let's hear this again because I thought Donald Trump made some comments about Jeffrey Epstein, and I believe they asked him, would you pardon him? And he didn't give an answer. But he gave an answer about pardoning other people. He wouldn't pardon people. You know, it's a lot of things he wouldn't pardon. But when he came to that question, he didn't answer it. So what was Jeffrey Epstein accused of? What was Donald Trump accused of? You see, what's that about?
We think it's weird.
Not even accused. He lost a case. The man lost the case. Apparently, J.D. Vance doesn't realize that Donald Trump lost a civil case for graping, for sexual assault. And he's paying it out.
For a presidential candidate to bail convicted rapists and murderers out of prison, and that's what Kamala Harris did.
All right, let me just fact check that real quick. Did Kamala Harris bail out convicted rapist from prison? Let me see something here. I've already started doing some fact checking, but here let me just because I'm gonna let it play, but I just want to show you how deceptive his words are. You know, I don't really want to stop it every second. He's going to be allowed to lie, and then we can go back. But check this out. Here we go.
Kamala Harris did not personally bail out a convicted rapist from prison. The claim stems from her promotion of the Minnesota Freedom Fund, MFF, during the 2020 protests. Harris encouraged donations to this fund to help bail out protesters who were unable to afford bail. The MFF, however, used the funds it raised to bail out various individuals, some of whom were charged with serious crimes. 34 source, 35 AF source. One case frequently cited involves Timothy Wayne Columbus, who was accused of sexually assaulting a child. The MFF paid his bail, but Harris did not specifically direct funds towards his release. Harris's advocacy was focused on supporting protesters, not individuals accused of serious crimes. 34 source. Additionally, other individuals bailed out by the MFF, which Harris supported, included people accused of violent crimes and repeat offenders. However, this does not equate to Harris directly bailing out these individuals herself. 36 source.
There you go. All right, let's go back to it.
And I think it's especially weird when Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta, I believe came here to this arena. Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta and talks with a fake Southern accent, even though she grew up in Canada. You can't make it up. That's pretty weird.
What? How does he know? How does he know what a fake Southern accent is? He's not from the South himself, but how does he know her accent is fake? That's so superficial. That's such a superficial comment to even focus on. So, what about your accent? Is your accent fake right now? Is this the real accent you use? I mean, and it just seems so weird that he would jump to that. It seems like playing on some really trivial things, you know.
Go watch the clip. She sounded like a Southern belle, even though she grew up in Vancouver. It doesn't make any sense. But on November 5th, she can go back to using her San Francisco accent because we're going to send her packing and we're going to reelect Donald J. Trump, president.
Look, what's crazy is this man, on one hand, he says, even though she grew up in Canada. Okay, so she grew up in Canada. She lived in San Francisco. Oh, no, she grew up in Canada. She went to university in Washington, D.C. She then moved to San Francisco. What do you think her accent is supposed to be like? I'm just curious about that. Should her accent be one from the West Coast? Should it be one from the East Coast? Should it be one from Canada? It's almost like he never met anybody that left their town and went to school somewhere else, university, or lived somewhere else outside of the town that they grew up in. It's kind of strange. It's almost like vilifying people that seek opportunity, seek education, and seek work, which is most American people.
Of the United States. Now, we can handle the made-up attacks by Democrats and by the media because we're used to it by now. But here's something I can't stomach about Kamala Harris. It's when she has the nerve to question our loyalty to this country. And she does. Well, here's what President Trump and I believe about loyalty. Loyalty to this country is...
But don't they question her loyalty to the country? Don't they question Biden's loyalty to the country? Don't they question even Republicans who are not MAGA? Don't they question their loyalty to the country? I mean, it's almost like they don't question anybody's loyalty to anything. They don't question anything, MAGA people, but you hear them questioning it all the time.
Closing our border, not opening it up. Loyalty is making life more affordable, not causing inflation because you can't stop sending money like a drunken sailor. Loyalty is safeguarding Medicare for American citizens, not bankrupting it by sending it to illegal aliens, which is what she wants to do.
Oh, so now they want to now they want to preserve Medicare. Okay. All right.
Loyalty is protecting Laken Riley, not allowing an illegal immigrant to take her life. Loyalty is serving in the United States Marine Corps, something I am proud to have done.
Okay, but Trump, the guy you're supporting, didn't serve in the military, was a draft dodger. So what's that all about? Is that selective memory or something? Or like it's okay if Donald Trump doesn't serve in the military? It's okay that he literally dodged a draft, right? Multiple times. That's okay though, right? But Kamala Harris, when there's no draft, she's blamed for not being in the military. I mean, it's a lot of people in the military that's going to be voting for Kamala Harris.
Loyalty.
Are they not loyal Americans?
It's taken a bullet for this country, something Donald J. Trump did.
Did he even release the medical examination to the public so we can even know? Did he? I'm not sure. Folks are still wondering, was it glass that hit his ear? He sure did seem to, wear that Band-Aid for a whole lot of days. Where's the damage?
Kamala Harris, if you want to see the face of disloyalty, look in the damn mirror.
What about the fact that a Republican shot at Donald Trump? What about that fact? What about the fact that a Republican was in a open and carry state and shot him or attempted to shoot him, attempted to kill him? We don't even know folks don't even know if he was hit directly by the bullet yet,
Now, for decades, we've gotten used to it. Politicians in Washington have sold out this country.
You hear that?
Remember.
You hear that? Politicians in Washington have sold out this country. Right. So are you calling them disloyal? Are you saying they're not loyal to the country? That's, and that's the thing about it. They don't. Typically what happens when you're voting, when you look at votes and you look at successful bills, especially in these times, there's usually some signing of bills that's across the line. If anything gets signed, if anything makes it to the president's office, it's usually because some Republicans also support it, right? Just a few at least, right? But what about those Republicans? They traitors?
When the multinational corporations and the lobbyists called their offices, a lot of them traded American jobs for campaign cash. Now, they'd never admit that, of course. They'd brag about trade deals, and they'd promise cheap products. They called it globalization, and that's what it was, sending American jobs to some other part of the globe instead of keeping them right here at home.
One of the first things Biden did when he got into office was actually stop making specific types of chips, computer chips, technology in China. He stopped that from happening and he brought it back to Silicon Valley. Is that not jobs? Is that not manufacturing? What does he want? He wants us to make plastic dolls for kids. Is that what he wants? He's acting like industry is plastic stuff. He's acting like industry is just simple small trinkets. Who's going to make your clothes right now? Who's going to make the clothes? What's the deal going to be? What deal is Trump going to make so Americans start making clothes again? Any plan for that? No, because it's not smart to actually do that when we can do other forms of manufacturing that brings better jobs and is actually more essential to the country, while we let someone else who's paying people far less money to make clothes do that and then sell us some of those goods. This guy is just ripping through that. And Americans aren't going to be making Levi's jeans anytime soon. They're not going to be making, you see these clothes? Where you think all these clothes are made? You think his suit is made in the US? Where's his suit made at, if you had to guess? Where do you think these t-shirts, these caps that all these people have on, do you think Donald Trump wants those things to be made in the US? Try looking into it, and then you spell out the plan to see how that's actually going to work. And if it's going to raise the price of goods of those things if it's made in the US, or if it's going to lower it. Is it going to raise the economy or create more decent paying jobs, or is it going to give people jobs that really don't pay that good?
And if it's up, my friends, if it's up to Kamala Harris, it's going to keep on happening. Let's remember her record.
I mean, and by the way, y'all, where the hell does Trump even make his shoes? Let me see here. Let me see something here. Where does Trump get the shoes he sells made? Let's see here. Let me bring this up. He got a choice. He can make the shoes and he can get them made in America. He's a billionaire. Why don't his billionaire buddies want to make those shoes in America? Let's see here.
Donald Trump's branded shoes are primarily manufactured in countries like Italy and Vietnam. Despite Trump's advocacy for American manufacturing, his shoes are produced overseas to keep costs down and remain competitive. This reliance on foreign production has led to criticism and accusations of hypocrisy, given his political stance on bringing jobs back to the U.S. 42 source.
Exactly, Donnie. He's appealing to black folks who aren't researching, who don't want to research. Apparently, they have the option to research, but they don't want to research, because if they did, they would easily find out that what he's saying is hogwash.
She voted to preserve NAFTA, the very trade deal that sent American jobs to Mexico and turned American dreams into nightmares.
Okay, now check this out. I already fact checked that one. Let me bring up the chat GDP again. Here we go. Now let's go back a little bit. Here we go. JD Vance. Let's play, and these aren't all the things that he said, but let's play these. Let's see here.
Fact-checking J.D. Vance's recent speech in Atlanta reveals several inaccuracies and misleading statements. Here are some of the key points scrutinized by fact-checkers. 1. NAFTA and job losses. Vance criticized NAFTA, claiming it led to significant job losses. While it is true that some industries suffered due to NAFTA, the overall impact on the U.S. economy was modest. Studies indicate that the agreement did not cause the massive job losses feared by critics or the substantial gains promised by supporters, 26 source. 2. Support for the Iraq War. Vance claimed Joe Biden supported the Iraq War while Donald Trump opposed it. Biden did vote for the 2002 resolution authorizing military force in Iraq, but Trump's stance was more complex. Initially, Trump expressed support for the invasion, but later criticized it as a mistake. Thus, Vance's portrayal of Trump's opposition is misleading, 26 source, 27 source. 3. Economic claims under Trump. Vance stated that worker wages stagnated until Trump took office, leading to significant increases. This needs context. Real wages did see a notable rise during Trump's tenure, partly due to the disproportionate job losses among low-wage workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, which skewed average wage figures, 27 source. 4. Fentanyl and border security. Vance claimed that China and the cartels are sending fentanyl across the U.S. border. This statement is accurate to an extent. China has been a primary source of fentanyl, and drug cartels do smuggle it into the U.S. However, the situation is complex, involving multiple factors and smuggling routes, 28 source. 5. Economic conditions in Kentucky. Vance mentioned that Breathitt County, Kentucky, where his family's cemetery is located, is one of the 10 poorest counties in the U.S. While Breathitt County is indeed very poor, it is not among the 10 poorest in the country. It ranks among the poorest in Kentucky and has significant poverty levels nationally, but not in the bottom 10. 26 source. These fact checks reveal that while some of Vance's statements contain elements of truth, they often lack context or are presented in a misleading manner.
There you have it.
Now, she's asking us for a promotion, and I think it's time to say to Kamala Harris, you're fired. The American dream is dying under Kamala Harris. But we're going to save it. We're going to save it for every American, regardless of color or creed, and we're going to do it when we re-elect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. That's why we got to do it. You know, President Trump knows a few things that the Washington politicians forgot. He knows that 1 million cheap plastic toys from China is not worth a single American manufacturing job. We're going to rebuild American manufacturing. We're going to rebuild the factories. We're going to rebuild the American dream, and we're going to stamp more products made in the USA. It's a beautiful thing, and that's
what you going to do it with? Gasoline? What you going to use to power these industries? Gasoline? What you going to ship all these goods around with? Gasoline? Vehicles? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what the plan is? See, they haven't even begun to tell people the truth about how products get moved around the country, even once they get in the country, or even the pricing to move the products around. And if you have only one major source of energy to move those products, then you're definitely going to be paying more for energy. That's the problem. Secondly, what about the fact that the pollution in your water from the gasoline, poor people across the country that he claims to know something about have to breathe that air, drink that polluted water? You know, it's almost like they're totally blind to it. I wonder if he even mentioned anything about all the fires going on right now. I mean,
we're going to do. Now, I've seen the consequences of electing failed politicians like Kamala Harris. I've seen it in my own hometown, because more often than not, it's the people the Bible calls the least of these that suffer the most when Kamala Harris doesn't do her job. They like to say they're for the little guy, but it's the little guy who hurts the most when Kamala Harris fails. Now, a lot of you know my story. You know how I grew up. I was raised by a strong woman, a Christian grandmother who loved the Lord, but also loved the F word. Ladies and gentlemen, she was a study in contrast. I think there are a few out here just like it. Now people ask me, how is it that you were able to grow up in a poor family, grow up in a family that was struggling, had a lot of chaos and a lot of trouble?
Yeah, Donnie, they're talking like they want to turn the U.S. into China. But if you go and you check out China, don't you see everybody wearing a mask because of the pollution, just the air pollution alone? Where do you think that comes from? You see, that was the price they paid for their industry to manufacture those goods and ship them somewhere else. And the U.S. said, hey, some of this stuff we don't need to be doing because it's going to cause us more problems. And it's not, I mean, it's ridiculous what he's saying. He has small aspects of truth wrapped around huge, vast portions of lies.
The answer is because, one, this is the greatest country in the world and the American dream is still possible.
Is it possible for women?
The second answer is because I had a mamaw who was tough as nails, and she kept me on the right path. Now,
I don't know how many of you have read Project 2025, right? But if you're the average worker and your boss doesn't treat you fairly, and the place, the warehouse or wherever you're working, your workplace is not up to code and not up to standard, who are you going to complain to? They want to remove those possibilities. That's exactly one of the many horrible things. They want to remove unions. That's what they say in Project 2025. but unions are the ones that are making sure that workers are actually treated fairly at work.
Tell you a lot of stories. Tell you a lot of stories. One of my favorite Mamaw stories is when I enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps. She was very proud of me, of course, but it was a time of war, and Mamaw was not happy that a recruiter had persuaded me to enlist in the Marines. So I remember he came over to our house and started to walk up the steps to her porch, and she said, "Look, if you step one more foot on my porch, I'm going to blow that thing off." And she had 19 handguns at home, so that was not an idle threat. But that strength and that discipline allowed me to achieve my dreams, and things worked out for me because we love our country. It's a great country, and because there are women like Mamaw all over this country making sure kids are able to achieve their dreams. Thank you. But let's be honest, there were some tough times too. And this goes to the point about Kamala Harris's failures. I remember, the reason Mamaw raised me is because my mom struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. And I'm proud to say that she has been clean and sober for almost 10 years now. I'm so proud of my mom. Thank you. And for
Just want to remind folks that the vice president doesn't sign any laws into law. They don't sign any bills into law. That's not what a vice president does. A vice president is not even voting on bills. They're not even voting. So where is he talking about? Is he talking about the one term that she spent in the Senate? Right? Is that what he's talking about?
For all those struggling with this terrible problem of addiction, no, there is hope and there is recovery. It's worth it. You got to keep fighting for it. But we support you and we support your dreams for second chances. But it wasn't always that good. Didn't always think that I would get a second chance with my mom. I remember being a kid, waiting at the bedside of my mom, angry that she had taken something she shouldn't have taken, and just praying to God, even though I was so mad, praying to God, please, Jesus, just let her wake up. Don't let this thing be the thing that took her life. And the unfortunate truth, my friends, is that the poison that Kamala Harris has let into this country means there are a lot of kids like me who are not going to have those prayers answered. We're going to remember who we're fighting for. And it's the kids at the side of those bedside tables begging God for their parents to wake up. We're going to make sure that happens. We're going to fight for the people who are struggling in this country.
And he got a president who just said on stage in a rally, like, what is it? Not even a week ago, right? Donald Trump said that he was talking to Christians and said, I love Christians. And the second thing he said is, I'm not a Christian. The dude is a Presbyterian and he doesn't even realize that that's a sect of Christianity. It's ridiculous.
And the contrast between an America led by Kamala Harris and an America led by President Trump, it couldn't be more clear. Remember, President Trump's vision was closed borders and open factories. Kamala Harris's vision is the exact opposite: open borders and closed factories. Kamala Harris, she wants bigger government that can tell you what to do, and she also wants smaller bank accounts, which I think a lot of us have seen. But Donald Trump, by contrast, delivered record paychecks and the strongest border in history. What an amazing record of accomplishment. Kamala Harris wants to ban fracking and buy energy from every tin-pot dictator all over the world. Donald Trump wants to drill, baby, drill. Let's get it from our own workers and our own territory. Kamala Harris wants to raise your taxes, and she wants to make it easier for companies to ship jobs to Mexico and China. Donald Trump wants to lower taxes for hardworking families. In fact, he already did it, and we want to reward companies that hire American and buy American. It's all about protecting the workers of this country. Kamala Harris wants to defund the police and let violent criminals out of jail. Donald Trump wants to lock up the bad guys and back the blue, and he did it for 4 years. He's going to do it again. So I want to send a message out there to those who are...
Hold on, y'all. Now, he just said, you know, it's going to keep going on and on with this. Let's just go back to the fact checking. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. He just said she wants to defund the police. Let's hear.
Kamala Harris does not support defunding the police. While she has made comments in the past that could be interpreted as supportive of the defund the police movement, particularly during the 2020 protests, she has clarified her stance multiple times since then. In 2020, Harris spoke about the need to reimagine public safety and supported reallocating some police funds to community services like mental health and education. However, she did not advocate for abolishing the police or completely defunding police departments. 55 source, 56 source. As vice president and throughout her career, Harris has supported increasing funding for police departments, particularly for community policing and law enforcement reforms. The Biden-Harris administration has proposed significant funding for law enforcement to support various initiatives aimed at improving public safety. 55's 56 source.
I don't think they listen to even their own criticisms, because they've said before that she actually they've made the exact opposite statements before about Kamala Harris. I mean, it's crazy, man. But let's go on. Let's go on.
Those who are trying to make ends meet. If you're protecting the workers of this country. Kamala Harris wants to defund the police and let violent criminals out of jail. Donald Trump wants to lock up the bad guys and back the blue, and he did it for 4 years. He's going to do it again. So I want to send a message out there to those who are struggling, those who are trying to make ends meet. If you're scraping by instead of thriving, I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to choose between paying off the credit card or buying groceries. I know what it's like to watch families fall apart under financial stress. I know what it's like to worry that a parent will never kick that habit, and I know what it's like to worry that that habit is going to eventually claim their lives. But I also know that our national motto is "In God We Trust." And God tells us not to despair, but to hope. Hope. And while the media likes to lie about this movement and this party, this movement of ours is about a simple idea. We love this country enough that we will never give up hope, and we will never stop fighting for a better future for everybody, whether they vote for us or not. If you're an American citizen, we love you, and we're going to fight for you. Now, we know that in this election, the best way to give our people hope for the future is to re-elect the guy who already did it and did it very well, Donald J. Trump, the once and future president of the United States. In just a few months, I believe, this state of Georgia is going to lead a great American restoration, a restoration of safety, of prosperity, and yes, of hope. We're going to secure our borders. We're going to kick out the drugs and the illegal immigrants. We're going to rebuild American manufacturing. We're going to bring jobs back to this country, and we are going to buy American, for our people. It's going to start in Georgia. God bless you all. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to be your next vice president, and we're going to win Georgia and win this country. I love you all. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty then. So that was JD Vance. And so you obviously know right here already that it's been pointed out that he's essentially lied and reimagined things that just aren't so. And these could be things that might be a little complex, because if you hear something being told a million times over and over and over, there's a lot of people that just tend to believe it. But then when you ask them to prove it, they have a hard time proving it. And that is what this election cycle has been like for a lot of people. Hence, why Trump is known as one of the presidents and candidates that has made more lies than or lied to the public more than any other individual. Hold on, let me see here. How many lies has Trump told to the public while running for office or serving as president? Let's see here.
Tracking the number of false or misleading claims made by Donald Trump during his time running for office and while serving as president has been a significant endeavor for several fact-checking organizations. The Washington Post, for instance, maintained a comprehensive database of such claims throughout Trump's presidency. 1. The Washington Post, by the end of his presidency in January 2021, the Washington Post's fact-checker database documented over 30,573 false or misleading claims made by Trump during his 4 years in office. This includes his time both as a candidate and as president, 55 source. 2. PolitiFact, another prominent fact-checking organization, has also tracked numerous false statements made by Trump. Their Truthometer has rated many of his statements as false or pants on fire, a category for the most egregious falsehoods over the years. While they do not provide a total count in the same way as the Washington Post, they offer a searchable database where users can explore Trump's statements and their accuracy ratings, 55 a source. 3. FactCheck.org. FactCheck.org has similarly documented many instances of Trump's false or misleading claims. They regularly publish detailed articles debunking statements made by Trump and his administration, though they do not provide a single cumulative count. Overall, while the exact number can vary slightly depending on the methodology and criteria used by each organization, it is clear that Donald Trump has made tens of thousands of false or misleading claims while running for office and serving as president.
Do you know how much tens of thousands of claims are? Tens of thousands? Do you know how much that is? Do you know what that does to a public over time? And this is the person that's about to speak again. And you will hear more lies. You will. So let's go.
Well, thank you very much to the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. He's doing.
Now, would you rather have a president that tells, let's say, 10% of the truth and 90% lies? Would you rather have one that tells 50% truth and 50% lies? Would you rather have one that tells 70%, 80% truth and 20% lies? It's up to you. You decide.
A great job. You know, they go after JD. You know why? He's for the worker. He's for people that get out and they want to work, work, work. And frankly, they are people that have been taken advantage of, and he doesn't like it, and he's done great. He's done great. He's been everything we could have expected and much more. So, JD, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you to Atlanta. I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Georgia. I love Georgia. With thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. Crazy Kamala, ultra-left, you know that. She was here a week ago, lots of empty seats. But the crowd she got was because she had entertainers, and it all started to unfold when they started to leave about 10 minutes into the speech. It was very boring. I don't need entertainers. I fill the stadium because I'm making America great again. That's our entertainment. That's our entertainment, making America great again.
All right. Let's go back here. As Donald Trump told lies about Georgia, where he is, the state he's in.
Yes, Donald Trump has made several false or misleading claims about the state of Georgia, particularly regarding the 2020 presidential election. Here are a few key instances. 1. Election fraud claims. False claims about vote counts. Trump repeatedly claimed that there was widespread voter fraud in Georgia during the 2020 election. He alleged that thousands of dead people voted, that there were forged signatures, and that illegal ballots were counted. Multiple recounts and audits, including a hand recount of nearly 5 million ballots, confirmed the accuracy of the results, showing no evidence of widespread fraud. Source, 56 source. The call with Brad Raffensperger. In a January 2021 phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Trump falsely claimed he had won Georgia by hundreds of thousands of votes and pressured Raffensperger to find enough votes to overturn the result. This call has been widely scrutinized and fact-checked, with experts and officials confirming there was no basis for Trump's claims. Sources, 56 Dies Av source. Allegations of tampering and misconduct. Trump claimed that Georgia's election officials, including Governor Brian Kemp and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, were complicit in election tampering. He suggested that they allowed illegal ballots to be counted and did not properly investigate fraud allegations. These claims were debunked by officials from both parties, and no substantial evidence of tampering or misconduct was found. 55 source, 56 source. 3. Specific incidents and misleading statements. State Farm Arena incident. Trump and his allies misrepresented surveillance video from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, claiming it showed election workers secretly counting illegal ballots after sending observers home. In reality, the video showed standard procedure, and the claims were thoroughly debunked by fact-checkers and election officials. 55 outsource. These examples highlight how Trump has propagated falsehoods and misleading information about Georgia, particularly concerning the integrity of the 2020 election process in the state.
Now, this is actually interesting here because it says he suggested that they allowed illegal ballots to be counted and did not properly investigate fraud allegations. These claims were debunked by officials from both parties, meaning Democrats and Republicans, and no substantial evidence of tampering or misconduct was found. So, yeah, let's continue.
And I have to tell you, we have thousands of people outside, and the state was terrific, but the fire marshal, I will say, could not have been better. Thank you to the fire marshal. But the school administration stopped us from getting another 500, 600, even 1,000 people in. Thousands of people were told no, and that was okay, but we could have fit another 600 people. So I don't know anything about the school. I don't know anything about this school, but they could have allowed more people. You got people standing outside.
Do you think that's true? How many of you think that that claim is true? He's commenting on many of the empty seats. There's a whole section of empty seats in the stadium, in the arena that he's speaking in right now, or the school. So right now, the way the camera is positioned, you see people, but the camera doesn't pan. And the media has already been covering this in the last few hours, where they show when they pan that there's a whole lot of seats empty. And so this is what Trump is commenting on. Now, let me see here.
Look at all the people outside. They could have come in. They could have come in. It's okay, but we could have fit another. Stopped us from getting another 500, 600, even 1,000 people in. I don't need entertainers. I fill the stadium because I'm making America great again. That's our entertainment. That's our entertainment, making America great again. And I have to tell you, we have thousands of people outside, and the state was terrific, but the fire marshal, I will say, could not have been better. Thank you to the fire marshal. But the school administration stopped us from getting another 500, 600, even 1,000 people in. Thousands of people were told no, and that was okay, but we could have fit another 600 people. So I don't know anything about the school. I don't know anything about this school, but they could have allowed more people. You got people standing outside. Look at all the people outside. They could have come in.
All right, let's view that.
At a recent rally in Georgia, Donald Trump claimed that school administration prevented hundreds of attendees from entering, resulting in empty seats. However, the actual situation appears to be more complex. Reports indicate that the rally had notably fewer attendees than expected, with Trump attributing the empty seats to the actions of the school administration, where the event was held. There is no clear evidence supporting Trump's claim that hundreds were barred entry by the administration 5 source.
So, are people that support Trump, are they going to demand that he provide some proof of his claim? Or are they just okay with someone making false claims? I'm curious about that, but I think they won't demand it because most people that vote for Trump are not really known for demanding truth, or demanding accuracy. A lot of them seem to be driven by hatred of others, and also conspiracies about the actual country that they live in. I mean, serious conspiracies that get debunked every single day of the week, conspiracies that are promoted by the Russian government. Also, it's called election interference, by the way, when that happens, when a foreign government supports lies about a nation. But, I'm just curious if folks are going to demand any real backing up of Trump's claims there, because he's talking about Georgia school administration, right? So these are people, hardworking people of Georgia, that are a part of the school administration. People just like the folks that are sitting in the arena when he's speaking, right? And you know what? I really would like to know more. I would like to do a Trumpian thing here. And I'd really like to know, what are the ethnicities of the people that he's talking about when he's making these claims? When he's talking about the administration of the school, are they black people? Are they black Georgians? Are they white Georgians? Are they descendants of slavery? Are they people that fought in the Civil War? Are they people that have families that fought? I mean, I'm talking about people that have families that fought in the Civil War. Are they people that have families that fought in the War of Independence that died for that? Does it matter if he lies on people like that at all? I don't know. It's just a question. Just a question.
Could have come in. So we're not happy. Hello out there. And then they actually push the people very far away from the building where we have beautiful cameras set up for the overflow crowds, the administration of the school. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be sending anybody to the school. I'm not happy about it. If they're going to stand in the way of admitting people to our rally, just imagine what they're going to do on Election Day.
So Trump supporters, is he telling the truth? Where's he getting his facts from that support his claims? Trump supporters in Georgia or anywhere else. And does it even matter if he's lying? Let me know what you think, Trump supporters.
We're not going to let that happen. 94 days from now, we're going to win the great state of Georgia in an epic landslide. And we're going to defeat crazy Kamala. You know, there's about 19 different ways of saying it. She only likes 3. Biden never even came close. Kamala, Kamala. No, it's Kamala. We're going to evict this radical and incompetent administration from the White House. They're destroying our country. We're going to save our country.
Is this guy drunk? I mean, they say that Trump does not drink alcohol, but this guy sounds drunk. He sounds drunk.
We're going to save our country. Yesterday, it was announced that unemployment is surging, with 350,000 Americans joining the unemployment rolls just last month. Tell you what, we could end up in a depression. We could end up in World War III and a depression. How about that? Could happen, too. Under Harris-Biden policies, we now have the highest unemployment rate in 3 years. Just came out yesterday. Even I was surprised. Those numbers were terrible. If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash. You could also have a crash like in 1929, more specifically, because that's where we're heading. When we win, you will rapidly see a brand new Trump economic boom. It's going to be booming like it was 4 years ago. With your vote, inflation will stop. The illegal aliens will be turned back. They're not coming in. We got to stop them. Did you see where she's now saying, oh, we had a very good border. Oh, great. They had the worst border in the history of the world. It's all misinformation. That's all they're good at, that and cheating on elections. They're very good at that. The cartels will be crushed, crime will plummet, incomes will soar, the wars will end, and the American dream will come roaring back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before, right? Yes? Thank you. But with 4 more years of Kamala, the California socialist, you know, she destroyed San Francisco. Then she destroyed the whole state. Look at what's going on in California. With your family and our country, it'll never recover. If you have any more time with these people, it's already, I'm worried about the next 3 months, if you think about it. These people are grossly incompetent. You'll end up in World War III, I'll tell you. And I hope I'm not right about that. You know, you ever see the hats? Trump is right about everything. I don't want to be right about it. Her policies of open borders and double-digit inflation, inflation like we've never seen before. It's destroying middle-income families, working families, all families. Will demolish your life savings. 40 or 50 million illegal aliens will invade our country during the next 4 years if they're in. 40 or 50 million. Medicare and Social Security. You know, she said she wants to put everybody on health care. You know, that's wonderful. It's all wonderful. First of all, they shouldn't be told to come here. Many of them were fine where they were. But no country can sustain this. Social security will buckle and collapse. The suburbs will be overrun with violent crime and savage foreign gangs. That's what they're doing. You know, they're sending all their gangs into the United States, right? Look, there's front row Joes. You didn't get into the front row. What happened to you? What happened? Thank you. We have front row Joes. They've been to 229 rallies. And then, look at these people. I call them the beautiful ladies, and you're not allowed to say that anymore. It's the end of your political career. You say beautiful. You're barely allowed to say ladies, right? Because that could also be destructive. But they're beautiful, they're ladies, and they're great. And they've been to 216 rallies from North Carolina. They look great. Happily married. I got to talk to their husbands. I don't know. They're way over 200 rallies, and they're incredible people. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Together, we will stop Kamala Harris's nation-wrecking. Look at these people. I call them the beautiful ladies, and you're not allowed to say that anymore. It's the end of your political career. You say beautiful. You're barely allowed to say ladies, right? Because that could also be destructive. But they're beautiful, they're ladies, and they're great. And they've been to 216 rallies from North Carolina. They look great. Happily married. I got to talk to their husbands. I don't know. They're way over 200 rallies, and they're incredible people. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Together, we will stop Kamala Harris's nation-wrecking. I'll tell you what, when you see what she's done to our nation, she's wrecking our nation. The radicalism will take back our country from the worst administration in American history. Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. She's acknowledged to be the worst vice president in the history of our country. She doesn't have a clue. You know, if she doesn't have a teleprompter, she can't even speak. Did you see her the other night? They put a camera in her face. She can't even talk. We just went through 4 years. Let's not go through another 4 years. Can't talk. That was terrible. You know, by the way, I'd like to congratulate Vladimir Putin for having made yet another great deal. Did you see the deal we made? Now, look, we want to get people in. You know, we got 59 hostages. I never paid anything.
Hold on, y'all. Check this out.
Look
Wait
at
a
these
second.
people. 40 or 50 million illegal aliens will invade our people. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. Barely allowed to say ladies, right? Thank you. We have front row Joes. They've been Social Security. You know, she said barely allowed to say ladies, right? Because that could also be destructive. But they're beautiful, they're ladies, and they're great. And they've been to 216 rallies from North Carolina. They look great. Happily married. I got to talk to their husbands. I don't know. They're way over 200 rallies, and they're incredible people. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Together, we will stop Kamala Harris's nation-wrecking. I'll tell you what, when you see what she's done to our nation, she's wrecking our nation. The radical.
All right. You know, he made a claim now about 200 rallies, right, in North Carolina. But look, let's just say North Carolina, South Carolina. Let's just see here.
There is no information or evidence indicating that supporters of Donald Trump in South Carolina or North Carolina have organized 200 rallies for him during the current election cycle. The actual number of rallies appears to be considerably fewer. Notable events in these states have been highlighted, but the number does not come close to 200.
That's 2 states, North Carolina and South Carolina. So again, are Trump supporters okay with a candidate lying to them repeatedly, just over and over and over, making things up. I mean, how do you think that's going to turn out? If a person lies to you and then what they claim does not actually happen, what do you think the outcome will be? The outcome for the people that believed it, if they're told that more lies like, oh, it didn't happen because the Democrats cheated, what do you think would happen?
Will take back our country from the worst administration in American history. Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. She's acknowledged to be the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Okay, that's Trump's opinion, right? But let's see here. Has the Biden administration been the worst administration in the history of the USA? Let's just see. Maybe folks are saying it is. Here we go.
The assessment of any presidential administration, including the Biden administration, is subjective and varies based on individual perspectives, political beliefs, and specific metrics. Some people criticize Biden's handling of issues like inflation, immigration, and foreign policy, while others commend his administration's efforts on infrastructure, climate action, and COVID-19 response. Declaring any administration as the worst in history is inherently subjective and often reflects partisan viewpoints. Historically, every administration has faced criticism and praise based on the challenges and achievements during their tenure.
But to Trump, it's the worst. So there we have it.
She doesn't have a clue. You know, if she doesn't have a teleprompter, she can't even speak. Did you see her the other night? They put a camera in her face. She can't even talk. We just went through 4 years. Let's not go through another 4 years.
The question of who is the better speaker, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, is subjective and depends on individual preferences and criteria for evaluating public speaking. Donald Trump is known for his direct, unfiltered, and often informal speaking style, which resonates with many of his supporters. He frequently uses repetition and simple language to emphasize his points, and he often engages with his audience in a conversational manner. Kamala Harris tends to use a more traditional and structured approach to public speaking. She often focuses on clarity and detail, and her style is characterized by a professional and formal tone. Harris frequently emphasizes themes of justice, equity, and social issues in her speeches. Ultimately, whether one is considered a better speaker than the other depends on personal taste, political views, and the context in which their speaking abilities are evaluated.
Can't talk. No, it's terrible. You know,
So basically, persons that believe Donald Trump is a much better speaker than Kamala Harris, apparently they don't like her traditional and structured approach to public speaking. They don't like that she often focuses on clarity and detail, and her style is characterized by a professional and formal tone. But they do, on the other hand, prefer Donald Trump's speaking, which he's known for being direct, unfiltered, and often informal speaking style, which resonates with many of his supporters. He frequently uses the style of repetition and simple language to emphasize his points. So there you have it.
By the way, I'd like to congratulate Vladimir Putin for having made yet another great deal. Did you see the deal we made? Now, look, we want to get people in. You know, we got 59 hostages. I never paid anything. They released some of the greatest killers.
He just made it sound like he's the one who made the deal with Putin. It's not him who made the deal. It's Biden that just made that deal with Putin. You know, Putin could have said no, right? He could have supported Donald Trump and said, I'm going to wait till y'all elect Donald Trump. He could have done that if he liked Donald Trump, but apparently he didn't really care this time. He just wanted to get it done. But listen, Trump claims that he made that deal. He said, that deal, listen.
In the world. She's wrecking our nation. The radicalism will take back our country from the worst administration in American history. Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. She's acknowledged to be the worst vice president in the history of our country. She doesn't have a clue. You know, if she doesn't have a teleprompter, she can't even speak. Did you see her the other night? They put a camera in her face. She can't even talk. We just went through 4 years. Let's not go through another 4 years. Can't talk. That was terrible. You know, by the way, I'd like to congratulate Vladimir Putin for having made yet another great deal. Did you see the deal we made? Now, look, we want to get people in.
Did
we got
you hear
59.
that? Did you hear the deal we made? And check this out. Notice how when Trump is talking about someone that disagrees with him, suddenly and it doesn't matter who it is, suddenly that person becomes the worst ever in the history of country, the worst ever that he's ever encountered in his entire life. It's never that there's a small disagreement, but they're all right at some things. And no, they're always the worst. Why do you think that is? You think that's projection? Do you think he does that because he really feels like he's the worst? You think he does that to try to equalize the playing field because he feels like he can't compete himself?
Hostages, I never paid anything. They released some of the greatest killers anywhere in the world, some of the most evil killers they got, and we got our people back. But boy, we make some horrible, horrible deals, and it's nice to say we got them back, but does that set a bad precedent, Bert?
All right, so let's fact check that. Let's see here. What were the terms of the recent prisoner exchange between Russia and the USA? Let's see here. Let me pull that up.
In early August 2024, the United States and Russia conducted a significant prisoner exchange involving a total of 26 individuals from various countries, marking one of the most complex swaps since the end of the Cold War. From the U.S. side, notable releases included Evan Gershkovich, a journalist for the Wall Street Journal, detained on espionage charges; Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine held since 2018 on charges of espionage; Alsu Kurmasheva, another American journalist held in Russia; Additionally, the exchange saw the release of several high-profile Russian dissidents and opposition figures, such as Vladimir Kara-Murza and Ilya Yashin, both of whom were imprisoned in Russia on charges related to their political activities and criticism of the government. In return, Russia received 8 of its nationals, including Vadim Krasikov, a convicted assassin who had been serving a life sentence in Germany for the murder of Chechen dissident in 2019. This release was particularly controversial due to the nature of Krasikov's crimes and the challenges it posed for German authorities to approve his release. The swap also included individuals convicted of espionage, cybercrimes, and other offenses, reflecting a broad and multinational nature of the exchange 30 source, 38 source, 39 source.
Okay.
The deal, while celebrated for bringing home wrongfully detained individuals, has sparked debate and concern about setting precedents for future negotiations involving high-profile prisoners.
Let's see here. He mentioned money also, right? I mean, that's what he just mentioned in his speech. So let's see if there's any truth to that one. I doubt it, but let's find out. I could always be wrong.
There is no public indication that the recent prisoner exchange between the United States and Russia involved any exchange or payment of monetary value. The exchange focused on trading individuals held in detention, and while it involved complex negotiations, no reports or official statements suggest that financial transactions were part of the agreement 39 source. Such deals typically center around the return of detained individuals rather than financial compensation, with both sides often viewing the exchange as a diplomatic and humanitarian gesture rather than a commercial transaction.
Set a bad precedent, Bert, right? Is that? Now, look, we want to get people in. You know, we got 59 hostages. I never paid anything. They released some of the greatest killers anywhere in the world, some of the most evil killers they got, and we got our people back. But, boy, we make some horrible, horrible deals, and it's nice to say we got them back, but does that set a bad precedent, Bert, right? Does that set a bad precedent, Bert? Harris has the most ultra-left-wing agenda of any presidential candidate ever in history. There's never been anybody like this. She is considered more left-wing than crazy Bernie Sanders. Look at her. She's worse than Bernie.
Look, he just called Bernie a her. And now he's trying to flip it back to Kamala. Listen.
Precedent, Bert, right? Does that set a bad precedent, Bert? Harris has the most ultra-left-wing agenda of any presidential candidate ever in history. There's never been anybody like this. She is considered more left-wing than crazy Bernie Sanders. Look at her. She's worse than Bernie. And she happens to be really a low IQ individual. She really does. She has a very low IQ.
All right, let's check the IQ. Man, this guy got us going to work. Has Kamala Harris ever taken... Hold on. Has Kamala Harris, J.D. Vance, or Donald Trump... hold on. J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, or Biden ever taken an IQ test that is public? Test with that are available to the test where the results are available to the public. Did it do it? Wait a second. Do I have to do? Okay, hold on. Let me switch off, y'all. Sorry about that. Let's see here. I gotta log out of this one and log into another one. Let's see. 2 seconds. All right, let's pull this back up now. Is it here? Let's see here. Is it not here or what? Something went wrong? Okay. Let me see here. Let me go back to this one. Oh, okay. Daggone, man. Well, let me see something here. Google. Let me just put this in Google instead. Okay, let's see here. Damn, I wanted to use ChatGPT, but let's see here. Kamala Harris, I doubt it, but IQ test. Well, in any case, it's unsubstantiated, the claim, man. The claim itself is unsubstantiated. He's just going on and on and on. You know, it's like unsubstantiated claims.
Need a low IQ. President Xi of China said, "Oh, good, we have another one, a low IQ individual." They love dealing with low IQ. They love dealing with low IQ people, and they got him here. I'll tell you, we got them all. She is terrible. She's worse than he. I think she's worse than him. By the way, they really took it away from the guy, right? I don't feel sorry for him because he's a bad guy. You know, he's weaponized the whole thing, and nobody's ever done that in this country. But he's a bad guy. But people feel sorry for him. They did a coup. He just doesn't know it. But actually, he does know it. You know that. They said, "Joe, you got 14 million votes. It's yours, but you're going to give it up. You're going to give it up right now, Joe. You're giving it up right now." No, I'm not. I was elected democratically. I was elected. No, you're giving it up, Joe. We're either going to do it the nice way or the hard way, Joe. You're getting the hell out. And it was the debate performance. So here's what happened in the debate. You know, there was the highest rated debate ever, and which was a great compliment. And as I left the debate stage, I took off because other people were entering the stage. You understand. I said, I don't want to confront other people. So we had a great debate. But as I left, CNN, I won't say who, but they said, that was the single greatest debate performance I've ever seen. And this went on for 2 days. They were saying how great I was. On the third day, they didn't mention that anymore. They said he was terrible. I liked it the first way better. I made him choke. Don't kid yourself. We made him choke. He was choking like a dog. He was choking. He was choking like a dog. And that was the end of him. I mean, that was the end from that. Then they said, okay, this was a disaster. So then they started doing interviews with people that are, 100% bought. The media, the fake news media, they had some people interviewing him, like George Slopadopoulos. ABC. ABC's one of the worst, by the way. They're all sort of bad when you get right down, but ABC's bad. And they're asking him hardball questions like, where did you stay last night? Did you think you did well in the debate, even though you could? Did you ever see a guy in the debate, they give you like 2 minutes to answer. And you want to use up, you got so much fertility in there, you want to use up every second.
All right, Trump is a very boring speaker. He's really boring. He does. If I was him, I wouldn't spend too much time on stage. He's been criticized for that. You know, he doesn't seem to recognize his own weaknesses. He always, focuses on anything, even just things he makes up that are other people's weaknesses. But he's really not aware of his own weaknesses at all. But check this out: the mayor of Atlanta, right? This is what the mayor of Atlanta said about Donald Trump. And this is on Instagram. Now, let me see. When was this posted? 5 hours ago, I believe. Is that it? Let's see here. Is it 5 hours ago? I don't even know where to find that out. But it's 5 hours ago. Here we go. Let's play it.
All right, now, you just heard a very desperate Donald Trump, a very desperate, dangerous, senile, rambling Donald Trump for an hour and a half tell lie after lie after lie about Atlanta, Georgia, about Georgia State University, about Kamala Harris, about President Biden, about a number of things, including people in his own party. He just went at the folks. Divisive. He has no policies. He's running scared. And he told lies about Georgia State, told lies about the city of Atlanta, talking about our crime rate, said it's a killing field, etc. I mean, no stats. Atlanta, Georgia last year had the fourth highest drop in violent crime of any major city in the United States of America. And I'm very proud of that. We worked hard together as a team, all of us, to get that done. And we're down even more this year than last year. So violent crime is down in Atlanta, and he don't have those stats because he's just divisive and full of lies. Talk bad about Georgia, talk bad about Georgia State University, talking because he said he should have more people allowed in the venue. If you want more people, you should be able to attract more people. Kamala Harris packed out the house. I don't know what your problem is, sir. This is a you problem. It's not a us problem. Georgia State University is the largest institution in the state of Georgia. It's the largest college in the state. It has more enrollment than anybody else. It has a black president, Dr. Brian Blake, my friend from Georgia Tech, now at Georgia State as the president. And he's doing a phenomenal job. And Donald Trump can't accept that, right? So men that are small, men that lack vision, they have fear. And you see that fear come out in this desperation and divisiveness that you just saw or heard about from Donald Trump. Dissing Georgia State and talking about the state of Georgia. This is a state that he's trying to win because he lost it in 2020. He knows that Georgia went blue. We went for Joe Biden in 2020, and we're going to go for President Kamala Harris in 2024. He's scared as you know what. He thought he had this in the bag, and now Kamala Harris came out here, had a huge rally. So shout out to Georgia State to have two big national rallies in the Convocation Center at Georgia State, all back to back. In 1 week, we pulled that off. Thanks to the Georgia State Patrol, the City of Atlanta Police Department, Georgia State's Police Department, the City of Atlanta's Department of Transportation, to Brian Blake, the president of Georgia State. We were able to allow folks to see the contrast between a presidential candidate and Kamala Harris that has vision and a plan for America to make sure that you can have more opportunities in the future than you have ever had in the past, for you to be able to have reproductive rights and not have those rights taken from you by the Trump administration, to be able to have dignity in our democracy versus Donald Trump, who was all about retribution and revenge and divisiveness. We need unity. Now, we may not be unanimous on everything, but we need to be unified. We need to be united. And that's what Kamala Harris is doing. So look, everybody, go sign up to volunteer, to go out there, to give money, to knock on doors. Earlier today, I led Black voters and volunteers for Kamala Harris. I led them in a phone banking training, because we're going to get out there. We're going to be making phone calls, y'all. If you want to be a part of that, let me know. But also go to Kamala Harris, her website or her social media, so you can sign up. So listen up, everybody. Donald Trump full of lies in the state of Georgia today. He's not going to divide us. He's not going to win. We're in this together. Let's go, everybody, for Kamala Harris for president.
Now, that was the mayor of Atlanta, I believe, right? That's the mayor of Atlanta. And let's just, he made a few points. He said that Trump lied about the crime rate, that it's the second year that it's down, and it's down so substantially. It's one of the top states where crime is actually down. And Donald Trump doesn't seem to see it that way. Now, but he mentioned a few other things. And now he said Donald Trump's a liar, lying about the state, you know, lying about the city, even lying about the administrators, lying about everything. And let me ask you, is it fine with you that he lies about people in Atlanta? Hardworking people, everyday people, civil servants, and others. Is that okay? Teachers, school board administration, all of these things. Is that just okay for you? Do you support someone lying on a black city, on a diverse, multi-ethnic state? Is that okay? Just because they voted Democrat, just because there's an election, is it okay to just diss all the progress that they made? Is that fine with you? In my world, that's low class. In my world, that's shameful. And it doesn't get you anywhere but more trouble. And he did mention one thing, the mayor here. He said Donald Trump is desperate. Well, if I had 34 felonies and other crimes that I'm being charged with right now, some are still being adjudicated. I would be very worried if I didn't win this election also, because it will be, in my view, the end of Donald Trump and his family, likely in the United States, because they are charged with very serious crimes. And the charging, there's likely to even be newer crimes regarding his family. I mean, there's so many improprieties there that have been mentioned. And so if I was Donald Trump, I would be very, very scared. He's looking to me more desperate every day, every day. In my view, it's low class to name call. You know, you don't have to call somebody crazy. I mean, again, it's projection, because we all know that Donald Trump is the one running. I mean, he said Kamala Harris can't even speak. Are you out of your mind? Kamala Harris speaks the English language far better than Donald Trump. And she ain't a billionaire. She wasn't raised with a silver spoon in her mouth. You see, so who the hell is Donald Trump to be dissing anybody, let alone Kamala Harris? Was Kamala Harris taking pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, talking about, oh, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's been my friend for 15 years. He's a real nice guy. And guess what, y'all? He likes them young. That's not Kamala Harris in that picture. Has Kamala Harris lied on Georgia? Has she lied on Georgia residents and citizens that live in Georgia? Has she lied on them? Or has it been Donald Trump that has lied about civil servants, lied about administrative leaders in education, lied about the state in itself, the standing it is in with crime and these kind of matters? I mean, I don't know, but if you're for a liar, I would say vote for Donald Trump. If you're for a person that disrespects black people and openly lies on them, I would say vote for Donald Trump. That's your guy. I would say that. All right, y'all. Well, y'all can catch the rest of this bullshit speech that Donald Trump made.
And it answered a question.
You know,
You have 90.
I can't listen to this garbage. I can't listen to this garbage anymore. It's just more of the same lunacy, more of the same poor speaking. You know, this man is a poor speaker. And it's very, very, very low. It's hard to listen to him, not only because there's zero substance to what he says, but he's just a boring goddamn speaker. So, he could be better. He's gotten more lame. His lies used to be more exciting and more riveting, but he just don't have that pep in his step no more. So on that note, I'm gonna be out, y'all. I'll see y'all later on. I wish everybody a good day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Right? I appreciate everybody for coming out. Have a good Sunday. Bless y'all 100%. Oh, and visit the shop. If you see it here, go check it out. Let me know if you see something you like. Send me a message in the comment section. I can give you a link to a discount code, 20% discount code at the shop here, Azonto Apparel. Matter of fact, let me just put that up on the screen for you so you guys can see what it looks like. It's right here. And so I appreciate everybody. I'm gonna be out. Catch y'all later on this week. Peace.
Close to me and dear to me, the ones that's been there for my whole life, the ones that came later in my life, I appreciate